and a very warm welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. In the next half an hour, I'll be getting you the day's big news and events, starting with the top stories first. Samajwadi Party celebrates its silver jubilee amid scenes of bickering by Akhilesh Yadav and Uncle Shivpal Yadav. BJP chief Amit Shah flags Parivartan Yatra in western UP. Pollution alert in Delhi. Thick smog reduces visibility. First day's play of 2 Ranji matches cancelled after players complain of irritation in eyes and breathing problems. 1,800 MCD schools shut. Another school gutted in Bandipora district of Kashmir, taking the number of damaged educational buildings in the valley to 32. 12 people were injured in fresh clashes between protesters and security forces in Srinagar. And Finance Minister Arun Jaitley calls for faster recovery procedures for loan defaulters, says system needs more teeth to rein in willful defaulters. And the big story today, more than 1,700 MCD schools remain shut today due to poor air quality in the national capital. Dubbing the situation similar to an emergency, the National Green Tribunal had observed that the Delhi government and the centre have been apathetic to the rising air pollution levels. Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave has also called an emergency meeting with representatives of NCR states on Monday. Around 1,700 junior schools run by Delhi's 3 municipal corporations remain shut on Saturday owing to hazardous pollution levels post-Diwali. The smog cover in the capital also caused cancellation of the first day's play in 2 Ranji Trophy games after players complained of irritation in eyes and breathing problems. Delhi is facing the worst smog in 17 years, with air pollution levels exceeding safe limits by over 15 times. At a press conference, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal blamed for paddy stubble burning by neighbouring states and urged the centre to intervene in the matter.
ये अभी जो गैस चेंबर अचानक बना है पिछले 15 दिन के अंदर, इसका सबसे बड़ा कारण आसपास के राज्यों के अंदर जो फसलें बहुत बड़े स्तर के ऊपर अभी जल रही हैं, मुझे लगता है किसानों को अल्टरनेट टेक्नोलॉजी देनी पड़ेगी ताकि वो अपनी फसलों को जलाने की बजाय उनका जो तना बच जाता है को डिस्पोज करने का उनके पास कोई दूसरा इंसेंटिव हो या कोई और टेक्नोलॉजी हो.
Kejriwal's remarks come a day after the National Green Tribunal pulled up the centre and Delhi government for not doing enough to control the poor air quality in the city. The NGT also rejected the Delhi government's claim that the high air pollution is due to crop burning in Haryana, Punjab and Rajasthan. Environmentalists point out that while crop burning is an annual feature, the government has been careless in allowing pollution levels to reach such alarming levels and putting the health of children and senior citizens at risk.
In fact, ये भी है कि क्रॉप बर्निंग और दूसरा बायोमास डिपेंडेंस रूरल एरियाज़ में काफ़ी ज़्यादा है. तो मेरे ख्याल से एक होलिस्टिक अप्रोच की कमी हमेशा रही है और इसलिए ये हमेशा ये होता है कि ब्लेम गेम की पॉलिटिक्स चालू हो जाती है, जो कि कम से कम इस हेल्थ के मुद्दे पर नहीं होना चाहिए.
At a pollution review meeting with secretaries of Delhi, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Punjab, the Environment Ministry on Friday admitted that rules to tackle air pollution were weak.
जो एनफोर्समेंट होनी चाहिए थी उस पे विशेष ध्यान देना है. विशेष ध्यान इसलिए देना है क्योंकि एनफोर्समेंट मैकेनिज्म जो है वो अभी भी कमज़ोर पाया जा रहा है और राज्यों से अनुरोध किया गया है, उनसे कहा गया है कि आप एनफोर्समेंट को और स्ट्रिक्ट करें.
Meanwhile, Haryana and Punjab governments have banned burning of paddy stubble by farmers. Haryana also directed district-level committees to monitor incidences of crop residue burning through satellite images and submit daily reports. With inputs from Anu Diwan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And moving on to Kashmir, where a terrorist was killed and 1 soldier injured in an encounter with security forces in the Shopian district of South Kashmir. The operation is currently underway as we speak. Meanwhile, another school building was set on fire in Bandipora district, taking the number of schools damaged during the ongoing unrest in the valley to 32.
A terrorist was allegedly killed in a fierce gun battle with security forces in Shopian district of Jammu and Kashmir on Saturday. An army soldier was also injured in the operation. The encounter began after a search team found 4 armed men hiding inside a house near Dobjan village about 60 kilometers from Srinagar. In a separate incident, at least 12 people were injured in clashes between protesters and security forces in Srinagar. The clashes took place after a 16-year-old boy died at a city hospital. Some residents alleged that he was given a poisonous substance by the security forces. The teenager was reported missing on October 25th. Meanwhile, another school was set on fire in Bandipora district of Jammu and Kashmir. As many as 32 schools and 110 government buildings have been damaged in the valley. The investigation is on to ascertain the cause of fire. Last week, Jammu and Kashmir High Court took suo motu cognizance of the incidents and directed the state government to ensure that the schools are protected.
कुछ दिनों से जो स्कूल भी जलाए जा रहे हैं, इससे उनकी जो पढ़ाई है उसको बहुत नुकसान हो रहा है। हम ये चाहते हैं कि जो JNK गवर्नमेंट है इस पर कड़ी कार्रवाई करे और स्कूल्स को जल्द से जल्द खोला जाए।
अगर बच्चों के स्कूल जाते रहे, बच्चे जो हैं वो अपनी कंटिन्यू स्टडी नहीं कर पाएंगे। अगर कंटिन्यू स्टडी नहीं होगी तो बच्चों का फ्यूचर जो है वो मेंटेन नहीं होगा। इस तरह से जो गवर्नमेंट है उससे यही रिक्वेस्ट की जाती है वो कि सिक्योरिटी को मेंटेन करे ताकि जो स्कूल्स हैं ये ना जल सके। जो पिछले एक हफ्ते से या 10 दिनों से एक नया वहाँ पे प्रोसीजर अपनाया गया है कुछ लोगों की तरफ से, कुछ मिसक्रिएंट्स की तरफ से कि वो स्कूल्स को आग लगा रहे हैं, ये काफ़ी अनफॉर्चुनेट है और ये एक बहुत गलत मैसेज देता है।
Elsewhere, normal life remained affected for the 120th day in a row due to the shutdown called by the separatists. The separatists have extended the strike till November 10th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And shifting focus to Polwan, Uttar Pradesh now, where the Samajwadi Party celebrated its silver jubilee today. In a show of camaraderie, all senior leaders from the former Janata Parivar were in attendance. But the message of unity seems to have suffered a big blow, with both Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav and his uncle Shivpal Yadav indicating their differences openly at the event. Details in this report. At the Silver Jubilee celebration of the Samajwadi Party, the grand show of Janata Parivar unity failed to hide the rift in the family. Looked on by RJD Chief Lalu Prasad Yadav, former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda and JDU leader Sharad Yadav, both Akhilesh Yadav and Shivpal Yadav took swipes at each other.
हमें आप तलवार दे देते हो भेंट में और फिर कहते हो कि तलवार में न चलाऊं, अब न चलाऊं, ये कैसे हो सकता है? कुछ लोग सुनेंगे जरूर, लेकिन समाजवादी पार्टी का सब कुछ बिगड़ जाने के बाद
कुछ लोगों को विरासत से मिल जाता है और कुछ लोगों को जिंदगी भर काम करते करते मर जाते हैं, उनको कुछ नहीं मिलता है, कुछ नहीं मिलता है।
Shivpal Yadav even pushed an Akhilesh Yadav supporter on stage. But despite the infighting, Party Supremo Mulayam Singh promised voters that the party will remain united to beat communal forces in Uttar Pradesh.
ये है समाजवादी पार्टी कि गैरबावरी को मिटाना है, चाहे क्षेत्रीयता के आधार पर, वोट मत के नाम पर, गरीबी अमीरी के नाम पर, इसका कोई भेदभाव नहीं करना है। सब हमारे नागरिक हैं, सब चाहे महिला हो चाहे कोई हो, सबके साथ हम सम्मान के साथ काम करें।
RJD Chief Lalu Prasad Yadav said he came to UP to strengthen the Samajwadi Party and keep the BJP out like they did in Bihar.
सारा परिवार, आम आवाम, सारे लोग इकट्ठे हैं और इसलिए आए थे कि लोग लड़ रहे थे, चले हम लोग देखेंगे कौन लड़ रहे हैं। ये सब लड़ाई मिटाने के लिए लोग आए हैं और पूरी मजबूती के साथ अपना रथ जो विजय का पताखा है लेके आप घूमिए और अपने बुजुर्गों का सम्मान और इज्जत करिए सबको साथ में।
Other leaders also hit out at the centre for trying to stifle democracy. They expressed confidence that the Samajwadi Party would return to power with a thumping majority. The Samajwadi Party is celebrating its 25th founding day at a time when the party is in the middle of a raging family feud. Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav and Uncle Shivpal have been at odds with each other over the last few months, with party workers also divided on the issue. With inputs from Panchanan Mishra, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Meanwhile, BSP President Mayawati has warned that any alliance with the Samajwadi Party will prove beneficial to the BJP. Hours after the Silver Jubilee celebrations of the ruling Samajwadi Party in Lucknow, Mayawati said that the Samajwadi Party broke away from the Grand Alliance ahead of the Bihar elections because of its alleged understanding with the BJP. She also said that supporting Samajwadi Party and the Janata Parivar will mean forming an anti-Dalit, anti-backward and anti-Muslim BJP government in the state. Listen it.
उत्तर प्रदेश में सत्ताधारी समाजवादी पार्टी की रजत जयंती के अवसर पर महागठबंधन बनाने की इनकी ये पहल घोर संकीर्ण व परिवारवादी स्वार्थ के साथ साथ आम जनता को बरगलाने के लिए अर्थात गुमराह करने के लिए केवल हवा खड़ा करने वाला एक हवाई प्रयास है।
To some other news, Information and Broadcasting Minister Venkaiah Naidu today defended the one-day ban on NDTV India channel. Denouncing references to emergency being raised in this context, Naidu said the ban was ordered in the interest of the country's safety and security. Addressing the media in Chennai, Naidu said the NDA government had the highest regard for freedom of media and politicization of such issues will only affect the safety and security of the country. He also criticized the Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi for talking about the dark days of emergency. Naidu also listed out the names of some channels that were banned in the past, saying that it was neither done for the first time nor was it a murder of democracy or reminiscent of emergency.
This action of asking a TV to take off one day is in the interest of the country's safety and security. The emergency that was imposed was not in the interest of the country, was in the interest of one individual who was unseated from the Prime Ministership.
And Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today called for faster resolution of recovery procedures in the context of loan defaulters. Addressing a seminar on debt recovery, Jaitley said the system needed more teeth to rein in willful defaulters. India's firms have seen debt levels nearly triple in the past 5 years and are struggling to deal with the debt already on their balance sheets. Jaitley said though public investment and foreign capital in India were intact, domestic investments needed to pick up to let the economy start firing on all cylinders. He urged the banking sector to support the private sector in its growth. Jaitley also said that the doctrine of natural justice of giving opportunity to defaulters to defend themselves need not be carried to an unnatural extent.
Efficiency has to be introduced into the recovery procedures as far as the defaulting parties are concerned. So every case that we manage or a litigant manages to delay then hurts the larger investment environment in the country. Because if monies of banks are blocked with some defaulters, it prevents the banks from funding thousands and lakhs of others who otherwise could have utilized this investment more fruitfully for the benefit of the country and the economy as such. Indian private sector needs to expand in a big way. It needs to invest. And that is when all engines of the economy start firing. And to support that, you need banks to ensure a flow of credit, and you need banks to support the private sector in order to expand this investment. And therefore, the role of banks in supporting growth, particularly as far as the domestic private sector is concerned, is extremely significant.
And BJP President Amit Shah today kicked off the party's election campaign from western Uttar Pradesh. He flagged off the BJP Parivartan Yatra with a massive rally at Saharanpur. Union Ministers Rajnath Singh and Kalraj Mishra were also present at the event. Addressing the huge gathering, Amit Shah targeted the ruling Samajwadi Party in the state, saying that neither the Samajwadi Party nor the BSP can improve the law and order situation in Uttar Pradesh. Shah also raised the issue of triple talaq, claiming that the Modi government would ensure justice to all Muslim women. He also hit out at Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi for politicizing the issue of one rank, one pension.
यूपी का चुनाव बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चुनाव है, क्योंकि विगत 15 सालों में सपा बसपा बसपा सपा सपा बसपा ये जो क्रम चला है इसने यूपी के विकास को रोक कर रख दिया है। राहुल गांधी को मैंने परसों देखा। राहुल गांधी जी वन रैंक वन पेंशन के लिए सवाल खड़े थे। अरे भैया राहुल, शायद युवानी में ही आपकी याददाश्त कम हो गई। ये वन रैंक वन पेंशन का मसला आपकी नानी जब प्रधानमंत्री थी तब का था। इंदिरा जी प्रधानमंत्री रही, आपके पिताजी प्रधानमंत्री रहे, आपकी माताजी के नेतृत्व में भी कांग्रेस की सरकार 10 साल चली, तब तक कहां थे?
And for all the other national stories, let's take you nationwide. Defence Minister Manohar Parkar will launch the Bharatiya Janata Party's 2017 election campaign in Goa with a Vijay Sankalp rally. The BJP has decided to hold the rally in every constituency in order to reach out to people with their welfare schemes and development works. All senior state party leaders, including Chief Minister Lakshmikant Parsekar, will participate in the rally. The IRF Educational Trust, promoted by controversial Islamic preacher Zakir Naik, has been put under prior permission category. This prevents the NGO from receiving foreign funds without getting a nod from the central government. The Home Ministry said several reports suggest that the IRF Education Trust has violated various provisions of the Foreign Contribution Regulations Act. In a tragic incident, 14 people were killed and 3 others injured when a truck hit a minibus carrying 17 pilgrims near Walthera Patia village of Ahmedabad district. The accident took place late last night when the bus collided head-on with a speeding truck. The driver of the truck is said to have escaped, and the police have issued a lookout notice for him. In a similar incident, at least 18 people were killed and dozens injured after a bus fell into the Beas River near Mandi town in Himachal Pradesh. The private bus with over 45 passengers was on its way to Kullu when the accident occurred. The State Transport Minister has ordered a probe into the incident and said it could be a human error. The minister also announced a sum of 5 lakh rupees for the families of the deceased, while 25,000 rupees will be given to those injured. We'll slip into a short break here. All the international news to follow on the other side.
I'm Amritan Shirai and you're watching Constitutionally Yours.
Political will is also missing.
अगर आप देखेंगे तो लिटरेसी रेट बहुत बढ़ी है।
यहाँ पे हम लोग consolation prize नहीं दे रहे।
Child labor is heavily required. So how to tackle that problem?
If there is violation of any provision, any law, judiciary will take actions.
Join us as we try to understand contemporary issues related to the Constitution. Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha Television.
Life after death was a cardinal belief in the Harappan civilization. Reflecting this is the skeleton of a middle-aged woman with gold bangles. Excavated from Rakhigadi in Haryana, it's an example of the burial practices in those times. Much like the Egyptian mummies, vessels, eatables, ornaments were kept near the dead body, in the hope that they would be of use to the person in the next world.
Thanks for staying with us on News Tonight. Over to all the international news now. Iraqi special forces and army troops attacked the Islamic State in south of Mosul today as Iraqi-led coalition forces seek to drive back the Islamic State militants from their last major Iraqi stronghold. At least 7 special forces troops were killed, while 1 officer and 3 soldiers were wounded in the gun battle. More details in this report. Iraqi special forces launched a 2-pronged assault deeper into Mosul city on Saturday. The street battles against the Islamic State terrorists are the most intense since the offensive started 3 weeks ago. Smoke rose across the neighborhoods of Iraq's second largest city, with explosions and machine gun fire echoing in the streets as the mosques called for evening prayer. Over 3,000 Iraqi troops took part in the assault under heavy US-led coalition air support. At least 7 Special Forces troops were killed. An officer and 3 soldiers were also wounded. On Friday, Special Forces recaptured 6 districts of eastern Mosul and pushed their way into another suburb in the northern city, held for over 2 years by the terrorists.
فجرنا سيارات لحد الآن أكثر من 9 سيارات مفخخة بالإضافة إلى انتحاريين وحاليا ماضين بالتقدم. إن شاء الله اليوم ننجز العمل في حي الانتصار ونتقدم إلى أحياء أخرى.
Vehicles with white flags transported civilians to emergency shelters in Khazar, that is under control of Iraqi forces on the eastern edge of Mosul. The UN said the Islamic State are increasing mass killings and abductions of civilians to shield themselves from the airstrikes.
We also continue to receive reports of mass killings, including one incident on Monday when ISIL reportedly killed 50 of its own militants in the Ghazlani military base in Mosul city for alleged desertion. There are also credible reports that 180 people were killed on Wednesday in Kokjeli town in eastern Mosul, and possibly up to another 200 people were killed in Mosul city.
Mosul is the last major Islamic State stronghold in Iraq, and expelling the militant group from the city will be a major blow to the survival of its self-styled Islamic State caliphate that stretches all the way into Syria. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And in the other big story of the day, Indonesian President Joko Widodo called off his visit to Australia after violent clashes at a Jakarta rally by thousands of hardline Muslims. The clashes left 1 dead and over 1 dozen injured. The demonstrators accused Basuki Purnama of having insulted Islam's holy book, the Quran.
Lakhs of hardline Muslims jammed the streets of Jakarta in protests that descended into violence on Friday. The protesters were demanding the resignation of Governor Basuki Purnama over allegations that he insulted the Quran. At least 10 people were detained for provoking the violence. 1 person was killed and 12 people were injured.
Yang kita duga terkait sebagai provokator. Jumlahnya ada 10 yang masih diperiksa hari ini. Jadi bukan apakah ini bagian dari unjuk rasa yang disampaikan ulama atau elemen-elemen lain yang memang dengan
Indonesian President Joko Widodo postponed his visit to Australia to tackle the situation.
Hukum terhadap saudara Basuki Cahayapurnama akan dilakukan secara tegas, cepat dan transparan. Sebab itu saya minta para pengunjuk rasa untuk kembali pulang.
Indonesia is dealing with aftermath of the protests. Local residents agreed that people have the right to voice opinion but expressed disappointment over the violence.
Kita semua mengharapkan masyarakat tentunya demonya itu damai, sejuk, membawa masyarakat supaya tenang begitu. Tapi kenyataannya ya disesalkan ya, malam hari bisa terjadi seperti ini, ada insiden kerusuhan kecil begitu.
Pesannya untuk Ahok lebih hati-hati aja untuk berbicara, apalagi kita kan budaya ke timur kita masih kental.
On Friday night, police fired tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowd of about 150,000 people, sections of which turned violent. Purnama was accused of insulting Islam after he joked that his opponents used a Quranic verse to deceive voters. The verse implies that Muslims shouldn't choose non-Muslims as their leaders. Purnama has since apologized for his remarks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's now get you some more international updates in the global buzz. The United States today confirmed the death of a top Al-Qaeda leader in an airstrike in Afghanistan in October. Pentagon Press Secretary Peter Cook said that Al-Qahtani was Al-Qaeda's emir for eastern Afghanistan and one of the terrorist group's senior plotters of attacks against the US. The police have arrested 33 more people for suspected involvement in the 30th October attack on Hindus at Brahmanbaria district in Dhaka. The latest arrests take the number of people nabbed over the incident to 44. More than a dozen temples and hundreds of homes belonging to Hindu minorities were ransacked in Dhaka last week. US President Barack Obama chastised supporters at a rally for Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton in North Carolina. Tension spiked when a supporter of Republican opponent Donald Trump stood up and began shouting. Obama waved his arms and repeatedly urged Clinton supporters to calm down. And on to some sports news now. The Indian women's hockey team lifted its maiden Asian Champions Trophy title with a thrilling 2-1 win over China in the finals today. Deep Grace Eka converted a penalty corner to give India the early lead in the 13th minute before China equalized in the 44th minute through a field goal from Zhong Menglin. In the dying minutes of the game, the second goal came from Deepika Thakur to give the Indian Eves the formidable lead and also the crown. Now, the victory comes as a double delight for Indian hockey, as earlier the men's team had conquered Asian Champions Trophy last week. India's best finish in the Women's Asian Champions Trophy came in the last edition in 2013, when it finished runner-up to Japan. It had finished third in the inaugural edition back in 2010. And that's it from us in this bulletin. Thanks for your time.